Merajuk. Cikal, makan ya. Makan ya biar ayam tak mati ya. Makan ya, tak apa ya. Ayo kita makan ya.
Hello, my name is Hui Yin, otherwise known as Cami. I am from Malaysia and I'm a graduate from the Faculty of Cinematic Arts, Multimedia University. Our short film is entitled Ndhuk, and Ndhuk is a Javanese term of endearment that many Javanese parents use when referring to their daughters while speaking to them. So in the English context, it would be very much equivalent to referring to your daughter as darling or sweetheart. Very briefly, the film follows Ika, who is an Indonesian domestic worker working for a Chinese family in Malaysia. And being far apart from her home and her family, she longs for a call back from her daughter and in turn finds a sense of comfort and peace caring for her employer's child, Jane. However, when she finally receives a call back from her daughter, she ends up overhearing a heartbreaking secret that her daughter had been keeping, and that changes everything about their relationship. There have been a lot of films that has inspired Ndhuk, and one of the most notable films would be Ilo Ilo by Anthony Chen. It is a 2013 Singaporean film that revolves around similar themes of a Filipina domestic worker working for a Singaporean Chinese family, and in the film she develops a bond with the child of the family, this 10-year-old boy. And the film actually explores, their relationship and how their bond grows, and also this codependency that they share with each other. When watching the film, it honestly transported me back to my childhood because how Anthony Chen managed to portray the characters, the worker and also the child, reminded me a lot of my experiences and my relationship with the workers who raised me. And I wanted to bring that warmth and the nuanced moments that Chen had in his film into Ndhuk as well. And it was ultimately that nostalgia and the warmth in the relationship that I really wanted to portray in my characters. Apart from that, there was also The Sons by the Dardine brothers that is essentially about this father who takes in the murderer of his own son. And I think it's very interesting because this film takes on a lens where it explores connections and relationships between, two people who aren't related by blood. But more importantly, it also talks about how, as humans, we tend to associate significance around things and people in this context that remind us of people that we've lost or people who are far away from us. And I find that the writing of the father character in The Sons to be very similar in what I wanted to portray in my main character, Ika, as well, where she finds a sense of comfort in her employer's child and almost sees her own daughter through her employer's daughter. Another short film that really inspired Ndhuk would be Zafar by filmmaker Aqsa Altaf, which is a story about this Pakistani man who works as an e-hailing driver in a foreign country. And the interesting thing is while he works and he picks up passengers, he's also juggling phone calls from his mother back in Pakistan. And I find the concept of the telephonic film in Zafar particularly interesting because it was also something that I wanted to incorporate into Ndhuk, where the mobile phone becomes the central medium of communication between two family members or two loved ones who are far apart from each other. And I believe that we have all experienced this, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic when we were all separated from our loved ones. Issues when it comes to phone calls such as bad internet or not being able to hear the other person. I find that these nuances are also very relatable in real life and very relatable to, the majority of us who have been through this. Last but not least, one of the most influential films that has inspired Ndhuk would be Rasa dan Asa by Malaysian artist and filmmaker Ukui Lala. Rasa dan Asa is a short documentary that took place during the COVID-19 pandemic where it explores the stories of Indonesian domestic workers working in Malaysia during the COVID-19 pandemic. In the film, we see how these women long to be with their children and how they use, again, the telephone as a medium of connection between themselves and their loved ones. Seeing these women and seeing how, more than anything in the world, what they really wanted was to be with their children, solidified the direction that I wanted to take Ndhuk in, which places primary focus on Ika and also her faraway daughter. Ultimately, what pushes me to want to make films is really the people that I meet along the way. And throughout the writing of the film, before I had even written the film, I wanted to be able to hear from the women I was writing about themselves. And so I interviewed and I'd spoken to and even befriended a lot of women migrant workers, and they were kind enough to let me into their world and to get to know their families and their experiences and their feelings. And until today, I have remained friends with so many of them. And I think the fascinating thing about filmmaking is that I believe filmmaking never truly ends. We're in the process of translating these subtitles to Indonesian so that we can actually bring the film back to these women who have inspired so much of the character. I wanted to be able to show them this film that they have inspired, because Ika as a character, she is an amalgamation of the experiences, the personalities, the feelings of these women. Ultimately, Ndhuk almost became like a homage to these women that I've gotten to know. On this note, I would like to reference the late Malaysian filmmaker Yasmin Ahmad, who famously said in one of her talks where she writes, these semi-fictional characters, and in front of her, there are these real life people. I think in the context she meant the actresses that she was about to work with, but she wanted to shape her characters around these real life people because they're people with real experiences, they're people with real feelings, and I think filmmaking is also about telling the truth. Yasmin Ahmad's approach to filmmaking has also largely inspired me in how I wanted to write my characters. As humans, we are so interconnected with each other because we share the same feelings and we share the same human experiences, despite our backgrounds and where we're from, but we laugh the same and we cry the same, we feel angry, we love and we grieve, and that is such an innate part of being human. At the end of the day, I'm inspired to want to make films because I want to be able to continue to frame the feelings and the emotions of being human in film, and it's such a wonderful thing that connects people from all walks of life.